Okay, so what you're going to want is some cardstock and whatever fabric you want for your chair, a piece of felt, and some chipboard. You can make your own little pattern. I've adjusted this pattern to make it a little rounder as I use it, but you're going to want to probably have two of those. Then the this is a bamboo skewer, about three of the toothpicks. This was a twist tie that I found. You could maybe find one of those. That's to hold the back on. And then other things. For the wheels, you could use a lot of different things. I found these, they're like a little styrofoam. Balls, those are at the dollar store. I don't particularly like using these because they squish, but on the other hand, you can shape these. So, that's something that you can consider. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is go ahead and cut out the chipboard, and you can put a little glue or something on that to hold this down, and that's always helpful. But you're going to take it off, so just make sure that you leave yourself some room around it. I just do that. And then you're just going to go ahead and cut around that. So the next thing you want to do is you want to cut out those patterns, but you want to cut just, you could even use this, I guess. You want to cut inside of your pattern so that the piece on the cardboard is, I'm sorry, on the cardstock is a little bit smaller than the cardboard, because you're going to upholster this, and so you want to cover up where the raw edge is on your fabric on the back, but you don't want it to stick out beyond the fabric. So it's going to be a little smaller than this is what you want to do. Okay, so the next step is to take your felt, and you just go ahead and you can stick this down a little bit. I wouldn't put too much glue on this because it'll sometimes bleed through a little bit too much. You just kind of run that risk. So you just want to glue these down to help you out, though. And you'll just go ahead and you'll trim around those. Okay, now you're ready for your fabric. I'm just using the wrong side of a twill because it's kind of a big weave. So try to find some fabric that would be more or less in scale. And what you want to do is go ahead and you put the felt side on the wrong side of the fabric. And I found that I didn't actually want to put glue on this felt because it seemed to show through, like it didn't glue down evenly. And so I decided not to do that. That's up to you. Maybe just a little bit of glue, because the only issue with this is, of course, you want to leave yourself, you just want to go around and give yourself some space. And then you're going to cut the notches. It's a little bit difficult if this is moving around. But I think it's worth it to just not put that glue on there. So you just want to leave yourself enough space here so that you'll be able to tuck this under without a problem. You don't want too much. It's kind of trial and error. You can always cut another piece of fabric if you mess up, of course. But You just want to chip in like this all the way around, little cuts just with the tip of your scissors. And what'll happen here is this will go nice and smooth around the edge. If you do this, and I cut in a little bit farther, hopefully that'll be okay. And this is where you'll take your tacky glue and give yourself a nice covering. Put a lot of glue on there, and then just start on one end and start to stick these down. Use quite a bit of glue, and you'll stretch and tuck this down, and you'll just do that all the way around, adjusting as is necessary and trimming. So what I do is I use a toothpick, and I kind of tuck this under like that from the front, and what I'm doing is smoothing that all under. Use a lot of tacky glue, that'll help. And then once you get that the way that you like, then you can go ahead and put these backs on here, and just once again use a lot of glue and make sure you're covering up any of the little edges here. And at that point in time, after you're happy with that, then this twist tie is going to be glued here. You'll want to measure into the middle and leave yourself, you know, kind of like so, and you'll cut that, and then that way you'll be able to bend it, and you'll have the little support that are on these types of chairs. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start to do the support and the legs. So you'll notice that I didn't glue this to here. I did not do that. I just want it on here and with enough that I can bend this. And the reason for that is I'm going to want to trim this once I decide how high I want my chair seat to sit. In other words, how far I want it from here to here, which is probably going to be kind of like so. But I want to have enough, but I don't want to glue it down yet. It'll just get in my way. So now is the time for the 3 toothpicks and for your bamboo skewer. And what I want to do is first do some sanding. I want to sand this base at the top. I'm going to cut this, but I still want to just go ahead and sand a little bit, make this nice. Okay, so once you're done sanding, I suggest going ahead and doing a thin coat of whatever paint you're going to use. I did this all in white because the example that I used was an IKEA, my model, I mean, and so theirs was kind of an all white. They called it light green, but it doesn't look like green to me. So whatever color you want this to be, I would do sort of a primer coat. And you're not going to use all of this, but just it's easier to paint if you have the longer pieces. Okay, now it's time to go ahead and make this support. And what you want is to do 1.5 centimeters and just measure that on out. And then however you want to cut this is fine. I like using these sometimes. So You'll need to sand a little bit on that, get that kind of cleaned up a bit. Looks pretty good. Not going to be terribly important. It's not really going to show that much. So that'll go there. The legs that go on here are really, you know, they're not round. They're pretty much square. And so we need that to be thinner, and we need it to be squared off a little bit. They are small enough that what I could do is I could actually just sand one side flat, and I could do, to make these the same, I could do about 3 at a time. So at any rate, I had been talking about, you know, you need a flat side, and really what you want to do is you want to get a nice taper at one end and a nice rounded end. And that's actually where that wheel will go. And if it's nice and tapered and round, then it's going to fit on here well. It'll glue on here well, and it'll look more like the real thing. I used this and I put it on the very edge of my mat, you know, over here. And that way I could get the leverage and I could have more control and have this nice and straight and flat. And so I'll show you in a minute how that turns out, what that looks like, before we go ahead and we glue everything to this. I'm gonna knock the edges off of this. And then what you do is you're going to be ready to glue these to your support thing. I don't know what to call that, pole. And so the way that this goes is like a little star or a little person. You don't want to... You want it to be nice and even all the way around. Like that is what it's going to look like. So you don't want these to be straight across or anything like that. It's actually going to be like this little star. So what you do is you're just going to go ahead and probably the super glue. I'm not crazy about super glue, but for this project, I can't imagine what else you would use. It just, you need something that's going to grab really quickly, because these are pretty thin, and you may even find that some of them are a little bit loose and you'll have to cut them slightly thicker, these, just so that it'll stick on here really nicely. So that's the next step. So you have to use a little bit of extra super glue. Sometimes you need to go ahead and sand that end a little better so that that sticks. Feels like it could still be a little bit tacky. But you go ahead and put your wheels on, and I'll go ahead and do that. So, you know, when your glue is dry, mine's almost there, then it's time to glue on the back. I think you could use a regular twist tie without a problem. It would have those ridges in them, but I don't think that that would matter. Then you just have 2 more things. So I have a little piece of wire, and I cut off about 1 centimeter, and then I just kind of rolled this across my board to get it as straight as possible. And this is that little lever. So I can basically, I think I'm good to go to bend this up. And I think I want to make that actually a little bit higher up, which is not a big deal. I can do that. I can move this out because I like that to be a little bit more like that. So I will probably do that. But in the meantime, what you can do, if your glue is still, mine's a little bit wet, preferably what you want to do is put this at a bit of an angle in here, because that's how it is on the real thing. Now my glue is not quite dry, and so this will work fine. And it should extend a little bit past your seat and go at an angle. I don't know how well you can see. Here we go. And so that goes there. And then I'm gonna lengthen mine, but it'll go like this. But when you're all finished, you've got your little guy here. Looks pretty close to the real thing. So there you have it. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.